I am way late, but it's finally time to now do the video I've been wanting to do for a long time, the tier list of both Quentin Tarantino and Denis Villeneuve's filmography. P.S. Very sorry if I screwed up your name, Denis, whatever. And also, quick little thing. This will only be Denis, I guess I will call him, Denis American movies. I have not seen any of his foreign French movies. I hear good things. They're not exactly for me, so I'll just be ranking his American ones in here. So, of course, we got the usual tiers S, A, B, C, and D. C isn't necessarily bad. It just means I'm not very. It's like decent to mediocre, and D is the only one on here that I would actually say I don't like. And since these directors are very, very good directors, I do not have an outright F tier because I don't think any of them have made an outright F tier movie. But anyway, not no they've both done great movies, and I can respect some stuff and even my least favorite movie in both of these guys' filmography. But first of all, let's get into this ranking. And first of all, we have Pulp Fiction. This was, I think, yeah, this was Tarantino's second movie, and this was an awesome, just a, I don't exactly know, a just understanding of what you should be doing in filmography. It basically breaks the rule of all just movie rules and somehow manages to be awesome because of that. So I gotta go with my heart here. Pulp Fiction is an S tier. It is a phenomenal piece of cinema. It's been parodied to death. It's been quoted to death. It's a great movie. I absolutely adore it. And there's some really, really solid jokes and humor in here. It's not exactly one going for jokes. It's more in the crime thriller element. Bruce Willis is great. Sorry about your thing, Bruce. We all know I adore Bruce as an actor, so just seeing him in here is always good, even though I have preferred him as John McClane. And Samuel L. Jackson, he is easily the most standout thing in here. He has to be. He is just going full Samuel L. Jackson, and that is what I love. So, some things in here a lot of people might classify as cheesy. I've always just classified it as just very fun for me. But, again, that's just me, and I wouldn't exactly argue if people... Actually, no, I probably would, but it's just a phenomenal movie. And now we have Prisoners. Prisoners is... It might be my favorite movie on this list. I think it's going to go number 2, but I have no choice. Prisoners also an S tier. The streak will be broken in a second, but yeah. Prisoners is a phenomenal watch, but at the same time is a heartbreaking watch. It really just shows the desperation of a parent trying desperately to find their kid. And that just is so good, but it is so bleak and depressing at moments. The moment where Hugh Jackman just looks at that paper and sees that the evidence that his child might be dead is so well acted by him. He is phenomenal in every conceivable way. I adore Hugh Jackman in this role as this father. And it's not nearly as good as Wolverine, but it's not like he had 10 years worth of Prisoners movies to do, so I would actually kind of be intrigued to see that, but let's not taint the legacy of this. Anyway, it's a great movie. I adore this. It depends on my day. This and one other movie we will talk about easily go back and forth, but I think right now it might end up being second build, but... next we got Jackie Brown. And Jackie Brown, I've actually never been the biggest fan of, guys. Jackie Brown, I would say, is C tier, probably. I'm gonna be generous and give it a C tier. And it's what I would say is Tarantino's probably it's probably the time where Tarantino did the worst job writing it. It doesn't seem like it has Tarantino's usual flair. Movies like Pulp Fiction and Inglorious Basterds, Like they do a great job of just this back and forth dialogue that's just so off the top of your head. And the Jackie Brown, I've just never felt that way with, and it's it's mediocre for sure. It's not his worst movie. I will not spoil what I think is, but I'm just not a big fan of Jackie Brown. It's watchable at moments, but something that I do think is something that Tarantino keeps getting wrong is that he always blows his load with the runtime. He really over exaggerates it. This movie is way too long. Several movies that he has made are just about every movie he has made, not every single one, but just about. I think Death Proof is the only one that clocks in under this. It's like they're like 2 hours and 20 minutes at least. Kill Bill 1 and 2 might not be, but Lord, he really makes long movies, and I'm not a fan of that. But it's fine. It's not terrible. And now we got Kill Bill Volume 2. I'll go. Yeah, I think I'll go B tier with it. It has a better plot than the first movie. Well, not a better plot. It has more plot focus than its predecessor, but that also means it has less action. And for me, the action was the most entertaining part of Kill Bill. And while I do like the more story centric focus, it does feel like it's lacking for a little bit. I really do not like when when she's training. That entire little section I really do not like. I have yet to watch The Whole Bloody Affair. That in and of itself could probably be on here somewhere in one of these tiers, but I decided not to just for the sake of it because I haven't seen it, and just a 3 hour long cut of these two. Once again, Tarantino really over exaggerating the runtime. But I think Uma Thurman is great in both of these. This is definitely where she has shined the most in Tarantino's filmography. She was great in Pulp Fiction, and seeing her as a focus in these is really, really good. And these are a very good 1-2 punch of action movies. So if you guys love action, Kill Bill 1 and 2 are at least worth a watch, if at the very least. Now we got Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. A lot of people say that it's going to go in D tier, but it's not. It is going to go in A tier. It is really, really, really good. I think I might have given it a 5-star on Letterboxd. I think it was a 4.5, but I think it was a 4.5. Someone can correct me down below if you guys follow me there. This movie is so good. It rules. I love Leo. I love Brad Pitt, and just seeing them team up in like this ultra best friend fun way with this Tarantino dialogue, it's just a lot of fun. This and I think Pulp Fiction are the only two movies in Tarantino's filmography where I do not start feeling the runtime, because this isn't even in my top 3 of Tarantino, yet I will say 2 of the movies in my top 2 I have felt the runtime too. And that's not a knock against them necessarily, it just means that they're long. And I think they're as long as 2, if I'm being honest. But this movie, I did not really feel the runtime for, because Leo just carries this. Brad Pitt carries this. Margot Robbie, she's not in it very much. And I am very happy they left out the true details of what happened to her in the end. I'm very, very happy they didn't put that in the movie. That would have destroyed it. Believe me. But anyway, it's a great movie, and I need to give it another watch. I haven't seen it in quite a bit, but another movie I haven't seen in quite a bit that I do need to give another watch is Django Unchained. Dang, we really do have a serious. Yeah, I need to get more of Denis in here. I've only talked about him once so far. Anyway, we'll get to him in a second. And then so Django is the movie where I do not think was my introduction. Actually, no, I think was my introduction to Christoph Waltz. It was either this or Spectre that introduced me to him. I had not seen much from him as an actor, and I did think he was bland in Spectre because wouldn't give him much to do, which is not on him whatsoever. That is completely the script's fault. The script of Spectre is not very good. I just happen to love the movie because of reasons. I love Craig. Nevertheless, in this, he is phenomenal. I believe he won the him or Leo got the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. It was one of them. I think it was Leo. Nevertheless, Christoph Waltz is phenomenal in here. This is probably what I prefer him to in. I prefer him to this in Inglorious Basterds, even though he's playing an entirely different character in Inglorious Basterds. Leo is, of course, incredible as this despicable villain that you just hate. And Jamie Foxx he's not bad. I actually have grown to really appreciate him, and westerns are like debatably my favorite genre. So getting a western, I did not know that it was a western. I just knew Django Unchained, and I saw the cover. I didn't even really realize it was a western. So getting that was a true gift. It is a little long. I will say that again. It is long, so that's my one gripe. But still, I have no choice but to go in S tier. It would go at the back though. Nevertheless, now we have Reservoir Dogs. This is actually a hot take of mine, but I would probably put it at the top of C tier. I've never been that enamored with the movie, guys. The writing from Tarantino is very solid, but the movie just drags on for way too long. This is another one of his longest movies. It does not earn its runtime whatsoever for me. It is so long and drawn out for me. And the characters I have never been very enamored with, and a lot of people like to tell me, well, they're not supposed to be likable. You're just supposed to just watch them. I know that, but if I don't like a character in a movie, I usually do not get invested in the story very much. Sue me. Nevertheless, finally, we get to actually talk some more about Denis. Now, Denis, we have Dune, the first one. And I'm going to have to put this one in, I think I would go back of A tier. It's a great, great start to this sci-fi world, and Denis he impresses immediately with his use of cinematography and effects, which is something that his entire career he has always got right. He is brilliant with the cinematography, whether it's just him doing this bleak world of when children are kidnapped, this kind of sci-fi like fantasy world with Dune, or like where he's recreating the world landscape of Blade Runner. No matter what it is, he does so good with the cinematography, and it's so impressive and almost insulting that he does so good. And the performances in here are amazing. I do feel the runtime, because another thing is that one of the reasons I picked these two is because they have a lot in common. They both have a great set of movies, and both really do not know how to get movies to a shorter runtime. Movie we will talk about in a second really echoes that, and they kind of hurt the experience for me a little bit. But anyway, Dune is a great watch that I do absolutely really I was gonna say absolutely love. I don't absolutely love it. It's really good, and over time could get higher, but that's I think where it'll go. Whew, okay, and now we got Enemy. Now Enemy is interesting. On Letterboxd I give it a 3 out of 5. I do respect it. That's the only reason it got a 3 out of 5 for me, because I'm not the biggest fan of Enemy. It really is slow. It is very slow, and that is the point. It has beautiful cinematography. Jake Gyllenhaal does a phenomenal job in this. I will not deny that. He does so good. And I've never understood quite what the ending is. It is odd. It is completely just outlandish. If you guys know what the last shot of this movie is, then you know what I am talking about. It is weird and honestly a little alarming for me, but it never has made sense to me, and more importantly, it's just a movie I was struggling to get through. So I do respect this film's legacy, but I have to go D tier. It's of these ones, this is, I would say, actually no, it's not my least favorite technically, because actually we're getting to that. My least favorite movie on here is probably Death Proof. Tarantino, I'm sorry, you had a great run, but no, we're putting you back here. Tarantino for a while, he was doing some great stuff like Pulp Fiction. Okay, no, he had done Pulp Fiction. He kind of had like a little roller coaster ride for me. Reservoir Dogs, not really. Pulp Fiction, heck yeah. Jackie Brown, not really. Then Kill Bill 1 and 2, yup. And then right back down to Death Proof. Then he kind of evened out. But Death Proof, I do think that, what is his name? How am I? Kurt Russell. Yeah, Kurt Russell. I was going to be so furious because he is in competition for my, like, he's in my top 5 favorite actors probably. Kurt Russell, he's the saving grace of this. He is really good. He is playing the psychopathic, just, I wouldn't say biker. He plays this psychopathic guy that lures girls into his car and then basically wrecks the car with both of them in it. And since the car is unsafe, he manages to get out alive, but always he kills the women. And it actually isn't a bad concept for a movie. But the problem is, the concept is good enough for like 40 minutes, and they try and drag it out into like 2 hours worth of movie. So it really drags for a long time. Like the Kurt Russell, I don't think is introduced for like an hour, maybe more. And plus one of the characters has a abysmal haircut. So I believe someone knows what I'm talking about. I believe she was the voice of Batgirl in the Lego Batman movie. No offense to her personally, but I cannot stand her look, and it just distracted me that entire movie. But I did like seeing Mary Elizabeth Winstead in here. I have loved her ever since I saw her in Live Free or Die Hard, which was my introduction to her. She is one of my favorite actresses, so it was good seeing her in here. But I'm not a fan of Death Proof, so it is, yeah, it's comfortably in D tier. So if you guys are fans of this one, cool. I am not whatsoever. And now we have Kill Bill the original, and part of me really loves this movie, and another part is not as fond of it as I want to be, because I feel like the moments in here are like bordering S tier. They are great moments, but some other moments in here, namely the anime segment, I hate anime. I've been watching Studio Ghibli. That's the only thing I can tolerate from them. I really hate that anime segment. Sorry, that cut was on me. That's on me. Anyway, some other segments in here have deepened my dislike for certain elements of it, but I do still really, really like it, and I wouldn't quite go A tier, but I'll go like top of B. It borders A. It's like probably a low 4.5, but I would probably go B tier in the end. It's really, really, really good though. And both of them are like right. Kill Bill and Kill Bill Volume 2 are right next to each other in my ranking of Tarantino, so they will not be separated. I doubt it, at least. So they are two very good movies, and I'm a little disappointed that they're both outside my top 5, and that it's probably the only time Tarantino went for like a straight up action movie, and both of those action movies are outside my top 5 of his. Part of me is very disappointed by that, but still very good. And oh boy. Now I think we all know what was inevitably going to be my number 1 and Prisoners wasn't. It was Pulp Fiction. I'm joking. Yeah. Blade Runner 2049, dude, this movie's unbelievable. The cinematography is just outstanding. Denis should have won an Oscar. Actually, no, I think he did win an Oscar for this. The movie is immaculate. I have seen it several times. You guys need to pick up the 4K for this. It's absolutely brilliant. It is one of the best looking movies ever. Of all the movies he has directed, it's easily the most well directed of them, and I am including Dune Part 2. Dune Part 2 ain't even close to as good as, in terms of directing, this has twice the effort at least. And just the way that it manages to recreate the feeling and the tone, the score, and the vibe and aesthetic of the original Blade Runner. As much as I do enjoy that original Blade Runner, I've seen it twice, which is I've seen the final cut twice. I've never seen the original version, but I've seen the final cut. I do think that Blade Runner 2049, comparing them, if I was to compare them, like measure Blade Runner 2049 up against Blade Runner would go in D tier and 2049 would go in S tier. If I'm going it purely based on how much I like it, Blade Runner would be an A tier, but still, 2049 is like a 10 times better for me. The cinematography, of course, is outstanding. Ryan Gosling is, I think, an even better lead than Deckard. A part of me really does like Deckard because it's Harrison Ford, of course, but I've never found that he was as good in the original, where the original, he's not very badass. He just gets his butt kicked over and over and over, and then as soon as he comes face to face with the main villain of the movie, he literally gets beat up and is about to get destroyed, and then our villain has like an act of nobility and gives a phenomenal speech. That speech is awesome, but it really makes you groan where it's like, oh. So Deckard is still alive because the villain that should have killed him had mercy. It's kind of bad writing for me. Nevertheless, that has nothing to do with 2049. I've loved it ever since I first watched it. The way the ending is kind of ambiguous and almost leaves it open-ended. The original has that, where it's very ambiguous in how it deals with this stuff. And I thought that 2049 would ruin that, and it doesn't. It actually adds to the ambiguity with certain clues and makes you wonder, is K actually more than just a replicant? Because he's a Nexus, I believe, 9, which is what they invented in this movie. It is so good. I absolutely love it. I'm gonna go at the top of S tier right now. It's absolutely brilliant. If y'all have not watched Blade Runner 2049, it is one of the greatest sci-fi sequels ever. Like, it is up with Aliens and Terminator 2. It is so good that y'all are missing out big time. Now we have Scicario, and we're going to make a big tonal shift from like sci-fi brilliant sequel to now not Western, to a more crime thriller drug deal type movie. And I do think it's good. I mean it's fine. It's mediocre probably for me. So I would probably go part of me wants to. Actually, no, I'm going to go at the top of C tier. So, Denis, it's well directed. Very well directed. The problem is, it really drags for me. I'm not a fan of Emily Blunt. It's not that she's annoying like my buddy Film Kid thinks she is. I don't find her annoying, but she doesn't stick out either. I don't know her name. Like, I know the names of just about every single protagonist in Denis. Well, of like Prisoners, Blade Runner, all that. I know the names of them. I can't remember anyone's name in this, except for like the actors' names. Josh Brolin, he's fun in this. John Lithgow, I believe it is, that's in this. He's probably the standout for me. I screwed that up. Probably wasn't John Lithgow. Oh, okay, someone's gonna correct me. So whoever takes the revenge, it's him. Yeah. Anyway. My biggest problem with it has always been the thing that actually Film Kid likes the most, and I'm gonna get a big fat lecture in the comments for this from good old who, but I really hated the ending. There will be slight spoilers, so I would say probably skip the rest of the Scicario segment if you don't want to be spoiled. But in the ending where you have whoever it is, I'm going to say John Lithgow, even though I know I'm wrong. Actually, no, it's not John Lithgow. I'll be fine. So, the ending, how do I say this without being too mean? The ending really, really got me angry. I know that it's kind of justified in the way that he takes it serious. Benicio del Toro. Oh, yeah, I was way off. Definitely not John Lithgow. Whatever. Anyway, I do think that John Lithgow was partially justified in killing the man responsible for killing his family. I am not going to argue with that whatsoever. Not even, I would never do that. On the other hand, I will fully, until the day I die, absolutely just echo my hatred for the fact that he not only brings the person that killed his family's wife into it, but both of his kids, where he straight up kills the wife and the two kids. I don't care. He's supposed to be like the good guy in that. I don't care if he wanted revenge. You had every right to take it out on him. You do not just take that out on three other innocent people, because basically it just destroyed the entire message of it, where for me, it made me not even like not John Lithgow. I'm stuck with that now. Benicio del Toro. I don't like him partially in the movie, because I realized that he had a right to be angry because of the fact that his family was killed. Basically, he killed the innocent ones too. So, basically, the thing that he got mad at this guy for, he then just did back. Part of people say that's justified because that guy did it first. I say, you just became a hypocrite. You just did the exact same thing that you just killed these two people over. So, you're no longer innocent because you just killed people that weren't even responsible. And I cannot get over that. I have not gotten over that, and I doubt I ever will. So for me, it's just not my thing for me. And I'm gonna put Dune Part 2 where I need to, so I can show people that I moved on from Scicario. Dune Part 2 is gonna go at the back of A tier, and it is a great thing, a sci-fi spectacle. This is a phenomenal attempt at filmmaking. It absolutely shows that Denis is here to stay. Dune Part 2, and Blade Runner 2049 show that he is a brilliant sci-fi director. And I absolutely love that about it. And the only thing that did bug me when I first watched it in the theaters, I have not rewatched it since, and on rewatch it could easily go up, but I did not like the fact that it was a middle chapter, because I do not think they really marketed it as a closing point. So when they were like, sorry guys, we have one more in store for you, that actually did really hurt me. Besides that, I did feel like the climax was a little rushed, and I do think that the chemistry between Zendaya and Timothée Chalamet wasn't very good in this one. I thought they were actually really good in the first one, but I feel like this one their relationship is really rushed, and it's not like it's a bad movie, guys, because I've been getting a lot of people that have been bitter about the fact that I haven't given it a 5 out of 5, that I haven't said it's the greatest movie of all time. I'm not someone that likes recency bias, so I very much try and stay away from new movies giving 5 out of 5s. Deadpool and Wolverine has been the only movie I've done that for. As I've started reviewing movies, Deadpool and Wolverine is the only movie that in the theater I gave a 5 out of 5 to. Yeah, so and Longlegs for a short bit, but I did take that back. So, but Longlegs was great. Don't get me wrong. And Dune Part 2, phenomenal spectacle. Just, I do think there's some tweaks. I am very interested to see where Dune Messiah places. I would not put it past S tier if it fixes some of the problems of Part 2, but I actually would not be surprised if it's just like right next to Dune or Dune Part 2. Like, it could go either way. Hopefully it doesn't end up becoming a disaster, but this is Denis, so in Denis we trust. No, The Hateful Eight. The Hateful Eight is an interesting one. I know people that love it, think it's a brilliant movie, just a piece of cinema. And I know people that really are not a fan of it, that think it is way too long, that think it is boring, it is repetitive, think that the characters are annoying, and part of me agrees with that. I do think that it is way too long. It is nearly 3 hours, but I never feel like I think it is way too long, but I never really feel the runtime. It's just I know that by people that don't enjoy it as much that I'm not going to argue it. Just going to say it is too long. So I'm going to be fair and say that I do that and give that objective criticism, but at the same time, this is a hard one. Part of me, I put it over Django at one point. Django is above it now, of course. And I have given it a pretty high 5 out of 5, so I don't think I can actually get away with going A tier. Part of me wants to go S tier, although I don't know if I would be allowed to getting away with that with what the audience would do to me. But I have to be brave, and I have to go with my opinion, so I have to stick to my gut, and I have to go S tier. I love The Hateful Eight. It's a brilliant movie. The cinematography is great in here. You could make an argument that it's Tarantino's best looking movie, and it has a great performance from Samuel L. Jackson. You got Kurt Russell with that absolutely fabulous stash he has, and it is very violent. Something I completely forgot to mention with movies like, especially Django. Like, Tarantino is violent. He is so depraved. Pulp Fiction, Django, and Hateful Eight, my 3 favorites, are so bloody and brutal. And he does not hold back on the profanity in any of these. They are mean. They are awesome with what they go for. And I do love The Hateful Eight. And I'm not gonna just listen to I have to listen to my heart. Now we got Arrival. Arrival competes with... Actually, no. Arrival for me is probably the biggest disappointment on this list, if I'm being honest. So I'll go B tier, but back of B tier. I know some people that will kill me for saying that, but I've never been a big fan of this one. The cinematography is beautiful. Out of this world beautiful. It has great acting from Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner. I hate the twist. It has an ending twist that tries to be shocking and tries to kind of reframe your perspective, and it doesn't. It just ruins the actual point of it and is actually just a bad twist that really fumbles, and I do not like that twist whatsoever. It kind of ruins the movie for me. But yeah, Arrival's... It's good. Arrival's... It's on a technical level, it's amazing. On just an objective level, it's amazing. On a subjective level, it's not very high for me, and I do not feel very ashamed to admit it. But I have to be fair and say that it is very well made. But I would definitely, if I had the choice, I would take Kill Bill 1 or 2 before I would take Arrival. And finally, we are kicking it off with we are not kicking it off. We are ending it off with Tarantino in Inglorious Basterds. This is one of the most fun movies on the list, undeniably. And the tricky part is where to put it. Because part of me was disappointed because I thought this was going to easily a lock for like top 3 Tarantino. I think it's my 5th favorite by him. So I'm going to go in A tier. Hold on. I think I'm going to go in... I think I'll split the difference and go put it above Dune Part 2. But it has flaws. I do think it is way too long, like I keep saying. Some of the characters are not very interesting or likable, but Brad Pitt is so much fun in here. Like, this is Brad Pitt being Brad Pitt, and I love it. The more fake reality of how they deal with Hitler is so satisfying, and it is so awesome to see. I need to stop saying "and." It's just hard to when it's something that comes so naturally to say. Christoph Waltz is a psycho in here. He is so terrifying, yet so delightful at the same time. I just love it. And there's nothing else to say. It's a great movie. Tarantino did a lot. It's ultra violent, as it always is. It's profanity fueled. But most importantly, it's just a fun time that you should definitely check out. If it's... I would... probably B tier above. I would definitely say you guys definitely should probably check out. Maybe not Arrival. Yeah, I know I have to say Arrival because it's a respectable one. Anyway, guys, this is definitely a fun thing to do. I am sorry about the little hibernation I was in on YouTube. I am back now. An X-Men tier list should be coming soon. If I'm not mistaken, it should be coming the day I have my live stream. Be sure to check that out. I always love talking to y'all, and I will put a link to that stream down below if you guys want to check that out. And thank you all so much for watching. Please, please, please be sure to let me know where would you place all these movies in their respective tiers. I would love to hear it. And thank you all so much for watching, and have a good one.